Welcome to the Digital Dreaming Off the Gridiron podcast. It is a beautiful Sunday here, and we are here on the cusp of a groundbreaking elimination chamber. And I'm going to open up this episode with this quote: "A tu brute, so falls Caesar." All right, y'all, here we are on the. Actually, let's open up. Whoever wants to go first, talk to me about what you saw and what your reaction is, and we'll go from there.
You want to go first, Cortez? Want me to handle it?
I got you. So the beginning of the show opened, and
No. We're starting from
the very
bottom
beginning
up.
of the show.
Bottom up, Cortez. Bottom up.
Yeah, bottom up.
We're going right into it.
Like we like our ladies, bottom up.
Yeah, that's what. Wait. Right from the opening, right?
Yes. No.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Meaning
So
we start from the main event all the way back.
oh,
up.
the main
Yes.
event. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Man, let's go with the title then. Cena.
Yeah.
Cena, you surprised the world. I didn't think that you'd ever do this again. And we hadn't seen. It's been over a decade since we've seen Cena as anything but like the babiest of faces. The shiny baby face. And I kind of had a feeling that something like this was going to have to happen. And this opens up for a lot of possibilities for WrestleMania. I think you guys would agree with me.
Yes, I saw it coming because I watched the press conference after Royal Rumble, and then also Triple H kind of spoiled it when he was like on Twitter. He was like, "Something monumental is going to happen tonight. It's going to change the game." Like, all right, here we go. Cena's going heel. That's the only thing I think of that would be as big as a monumental thing. Like, yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I felt like that's what had to happen.
Right
Just
move, by
because
the way.
we were talking about this. I don't know if you were with us for that show, but me and Ali were talking about this, and we're like, man, there's a possibility of things that could happen for this WrestleMania season. And I think that the very bottom of our list, but was Cena turning heel. We knew it was there, like we mentioned it, but I think that was the bottom of the list of things that we thought were going to happen was Cena turning heel, and not because we didn't want it to happen, but just because historically Cena was one of those guys where I'm not going heel. Even when they wanted him to go heel, he never would.
I think, honest, in retrospect, now that I've had like a day to think, not even a day, like a few hours to think about it, I think it honestly was the most safest move to do. If you really put it in perspective, because he's on his last year, you can tell a full story with it, and either way, you can kind of tell that redemption story after that.
Right, because WrestleMania is only the middle of his year. He's still got a whole another 6 months after that before his contract's up.
Yeah, so you can do a lot within those 6 months in telling that story of bringing him back to make his last match be him being a good guy again.
Yeah. Let him do something heroic.
Yeah. Maybe at WrestleMania.
I mean, this actually opens the door for a lot of people are going to be upset that I'm going to say this. This actually opens the door for CM Punk to win in the main event in the WrestleMania.
I think so too.
Right, because you're going to have the moral dilemma. You're going to have the more. They're not going to have a John Cena winning at WrestleMania. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to turn into a much darker heel character, maybe even at Backlash. I can see CM Punk winning the title at WrestleMania and then dropping it immediately at the next pay-per-view event. Prime, what do they call them? Prime. What are they? What do they call these things?
Premium live events.
Premium live events.
Yes, sir.
I honestly can see
pay-per-views.
I can honestly see CM Punk winning the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah.
And cashing in on somebody like Cena or Cody.
The only reason why I wouldn't say that he would win Money in the Bank was because CM Punk's story is I can see Cena cashing in with the briefcase to get his title. I think CM Punk's story kind of ends at WrestleMania. If he doesn't main event WrestleMania, he doesn't really care about the title. You know what I'm saying? And the only reason he'd have the title is to main event WrestleMania because that's what he actually cares about. Like it isn't even about the title; it's about main eventing WrestleMania.
Yes. And let me ask you this. I can ask you both this. Do you think he main events this year? Because I'm gonna be honest.
CM Punk.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to pull that trigger.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you. We know Cody is Cena's main event night 2. That's a given. But I don't think Jay and Gunther's main event night one.
Kind of destroy the gimmick if you don't main event it.
Yeah, I don't think they are.
They're pushing that gimmick so hard. Like, you got to think about
night
this.
one.
They've got him on Slim Jim. They've got him in their video game commercials. They have him in their kids commercials where like he's independently shooting things that are not at, they're shooting them in the studio and then doing, AI editing for the rest. They've got him in doing all of these things. If you destroy your biggest cash cow, which is Jey Uso right now, Jey Uso is bringing in the most revenue sales for the company right now. It's Jey Uso.
I think he's winning. I think he's winning.
But
I just don't think he's going to main event. I think they're going to do it like.
How can you sell merchandise that says
match?
I mean, yeah, but your merchandise says main event Jey Uso. If you're not in the main event at WrestleMania, when you won the Royal Rumble, you kind of destroy that character. Even if you win the belt opening, if you're not main event. You know what I mean? Like that gives for me, it would ruin the character if you don't let him main event when his name is main event Jey Uso.
Well, I get it. I just don't know. They see other matches important. I think a CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns triple threat match, they probably would hold a higher standard than Jey Uso winning that title.
And it isn't even because of Jey Uso.
Unfortunately, I think Jey Uso should main event one of the nights.
I think your connection is chopping up, Delvin. I think you said Jey Uso should main event one of the nights. But we'll see what happens there.
His connection's real bad. I was trying to follow it too.
There you go. Are you back?
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, okay. I'm here. I don't know what the heck's happening.
All right.
Yeah, I think. Do I think that a CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins match would be voted to main event over Jey Uso and Gunther? Yes. Do I think it has anything to do with Jey Uso? No. I think Gunther's a boring champion. I think he's been a boring world heavyweight champion. He was a good intercontinental champion, great actually, but like his work as world heavyweight champion has been a lot lacking. I feel like when you broke up his Imperium group and their infighting for no reason kind of ruined a little bit of the mystique there. And I think that Gunther's never really gained it back, especially that minor face turn that he had for like 3 weeks.
100%. No, so now I'm gonna step in here. So I'm actually wind back the clock because I wanted to kind of get to where I was going here when I opened up the show. Et tu, Brute, so fall Caesar. Brutus stabbed Caesar in the back. John Cena made a deal with the devil and then basically buried our people's champion, Cody Rhodes, after he said, Rock, go fuck yourself. So, kind of the point I was trying to make was
great
man
line
right here, who we all know, we all love. Cortez, you mentioned this. It's been over a decade since we've seen him as heel. It's actually, I'm going to correct you. It's been over 2 decades. It's been since he hasn't been a heel since 2003. It's been 22 years. Yeah. 22 years. Okay. Yeah. Fans have been begging for this heel turn. They have been clamoring, crying, hoping that this would happen at some point. We got glimpses of it 12 years ago when Rock and Cena tried the first once in a lifetime, feud. Then the second one, happens in Jersey or whatever, right? So essentially kind of where I was going was what we saw was not only paying off what the fans wanted, for however many decades, but also you're giving us, it gives Cody that evil empire to go up against. It gives Cody, I'm not going to put him in the breadth of Stone Cold Steve Austin, but it gives him that, that corporate champion, that corporation, that final boss, right, to overcome, heading into WrestleMania.
Yeah, you need that. You need that.
You need that. And then kind of to the point what Delv was making about this being Cena's final run, they definitely did hint at it because Cena posted on his Twitter account the poster with him, Rock, and Travis Scott. Cena did say after the Royal Rumble that, hey, I feel like I deserve it. That's why I'm going to put myself in the Elimination Chamber. He didn't even try to qualify for it. Cena also did not appear on network programming after the Royal Rumble, right? Logan Paul.
He didn't.
Was that Delvin?
After saying he would.
After saying he would, right? Logan Paul actually called it out last night on SmackDown. If people didn't despise Logan Paul, he would have probably got popped. He's like, see, we came out to Cena's music, right? The night before Elimination Chamber, and said, like, Cena's not here. He doesn't care about Canada. If it was any other wrestler saying that, they would have got popped. But since it's Logan Paul, he obviously got booed to oblivion.
Yeah,
exactly.
So essentially, kind of where I was going was, now here we are, heading into WrestleMania. The fans have now gotten what they wanted, and it is just the turn of all turns. Comparable to Austin turning with Vince at WrestleMania 17. In hindsight, people say the Austin heel turn was the worst thing for the business, but Austin turning heel wasn't the worst thing. It was in the moment, the 2-man power trip and Austin being with Vince was good. It was just the invasion storyline, once it started and fizzled out near the end of 2001, was when Austin's heel character kind of fizzled out with it.
Can I just say, now that you mentioned this, that is the Attitude Era blueprint. It happened first and didn't happen with Brett. It kind of did. That was like, Brett was like the groundwork for the character. Right. What happened with and so Vince used that same formula on his champions that kind of won him the Montreal screw job.
Yep.
And it was babyface champion, stays babyface, stays babyface, stays babyface. Corporate heels, corporate substand, you become the corporate heel. So you're no longer just a heel, because a heel can be cheered by the fans,
right?
But a corporate heel, nobody wants to cheer a corporate heel, nobody, because that, like, for example, a corporate heel is literally your manager at work.
Exactly.
Yes.
Your manager, he thinks he's just like you, but in reality, he's the one that's not standing in the gap for you. When upper management says we want this, he doesn't say anything about it. He just goes and tells you that you got to do it. That happened with Michaels. It happened with Brock. It happened with Austin, and then Triple H was like the biggest corporate heel ever, and you just kind of rinse and repeat until, it starts to get too watered down, kind of like Jack Swagger and his We the People gimmick that just fizzled out. You know what I mean? And, but it's been a while since they've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the last corporate heel? Seth Rollins?
Yep.
Yes.
10 years ago.
Yeah, Seth Rollins was the last corporate heel. Because he was after Owens. So yeah, it was Seth Rollins. He was the last corporate heel. We haven't had one since then. And that was what, 8, 9, 10 years ago?
Yeah. I think this feels a lot like when Hogan turned heel with NWO.
Very similar.
Very similar vibe.
Very similar.
And I think it's appropriate since God bless his soul, when Bray Wyatt did the match with Cena, I forgot what it was called. They referenced Cena being Hogan in WWE.
The Funhouse match.
Yes, the Firefly
Funhouse. Yep.
Yeah, Cena was kind of like referenced as being a Hogan-esque type character, and I think it's really interesting that we've now come full circle with that in this heel Cena character. And I like the fact that everything The Rock told to Cody that night also can apply to Cena.
Yeah.
Like, Cena's a huge star, but he's not on The Rock's level. Like, Rock's kind of like the guy in Hollywood, and Cena's good.
You mean the guy on planet Earth? Everybody knows who this dude is.
Exactly. And Cena is that guy who, while people know Cena, people love Cena, Cena's pretty big in Hollywood. He's not The Rock. So in wrestling terms, Rock aligning with Cena makes a lot of sense. Like, hey, I can get you big roles in my movies.
Rock and Cena were already aligned. If you remember their alliance after their duo match,
yes.
They main evented those 2 WrestleManias in a row, and then they became aligned after that. You haven't seen The Rock and Cena going at each other ever since that match. And what you've seen, like, for example, The Rock brought Cena into the Fast and Furious family.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because Cena even said, I would have never got that role if it wasn't for The Rock. Like, they basically gave me a role because of The Rock, and I had to play it. And he's been able to be in, what, 2, 3 now movies?
Yeah.
With Fast and Furious. Like, that's like being in, like, Gone with the Wind. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are period pieces that you look back on, and they tell different eras of like, our lives. And everyone knows these movies. Everyone's seen these movies. and Cena was able to be in that movie because of The Rock. And they might even highlight that's going on. Like, he gave you an opportunity and you spit it in his face. You should have just taken it.
Yeah.
And now we're going to be able to see the ruthless Cena, because I prefer ruthless Cena over the, saccharin candy coated Cena. I prefer ruthless. I like ruthless Cena. He was a nasty ass dude. I know Ali likes ruthless Cena too.
You,
Yeah.
If you all can see that, let's make it that close to camera. There it is. Yep.
I love it.
You can read that. There we go.
Like, they like to call it Dr. Thugonomics. I call it Ruthless, because Thugonomics was a little bit more of a joke gimmick, whereas like Ruthless Cena was like, he was the same guy, but he was just about his business, beating people up.
Delvin, what were you gonna say?
I said I would love to see that too, and I would like to see, if we're gonna go this route with Cena, get Cena some heaters. Get somebody who can take some blows for Cena. You don't need Cena getting in fights and getting beat up and running away. Get somebody who can give him some heat.
Yeah, you have to insert him into the type of story that you can create now. So Cena had allies in the past. You know what I mean? He's had, other legends that were there with him that are still active today that would take his side on most things. He could be a completely disruptive to the locker room. And you can see a lot of characters start to get face heel changes just because of Cena's attitude and behavior. Like, this could be a ripple effect that is good for the entire business.
Hear me out. I think this would work because of the history. A-Town Down Under. I would like to see, going back full circle with Cena. Remember the conversation he had with Austin Theory years ago when Austin Theory beat him? He was like,
And he buried him. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, look, you may beat me, but what are you going to do with it after that? The next night you have to come back to these fans. And essentially, everything Cena said came true.
All of it came true.
All of it came true. So if Cena was to come back and say, hey, everything I told you came true. Now it's time for you to make a name for yourself. Come work for me. Come be my underling. I think it makes a lot of sense.
It would legitimize Austin Theory.
Yeah.
But here's the question I have, because you see Austin Theory kind of hinting towards a face turn with kind of the re-segment he had with Jay backstage and
great segment, by the way.
Yeah, great segment. Yeah. So basically, why am I forgetting his name?
Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller.
Yeah, Grayson Waller. I don't know why I'm forgetting. I'm sorry, Grayson. No apologies, bro. When Grayson, obviously, Jay comes backstage, Grayson says, like, hey, Jay, like, you're not going to be good there, you're not on his level. Then Jay just, handles the classy. Then he says, yeet. Then he does, and then Austin Theory does a yeet. Then Jake super kicks him. So Austin looks conflicted. So actually, no, maybe, I mean, maybe they can work with it. It's just interesting to me because, I mean, that makes so much sense. And kind of to that point, Devin, where I also want to take this was Roman Reigns. If you remember when Roman Reigns and Cena were last in the ring, obviously not a few years ago, but before the Tribal Chief, when they're on the ring in the mic, going trading bars, and Cena, buried him, right?
Yeah.
By saying that, I'm better at doing this part-time than you are doing this at full-time, right? I'm wondering if there's going to be avenue for that at some point, because obviously now that The Rock,
he's definitely going to go at Cena.
Yes, because I think now that The Rock now that Rock's aligned with Cena, if Cena takes the belt from Cody, I think Roman's going to basically want to, whatever happens with the Roman CM Punk, Seth dynamic, I mean, and also, after whatever happens there, it'll be finished at WrestleMania, I'm assuming. Whatever happens after that, I think Roman will then basically insert himself against this new power structure, as a tribal chief, basically Roman against Rock against Cena, or Roman against Rock and Cena. And then, like, to your point, if A-Town Down Under is aligned with them, they actually have like a true faction at that point. It's not just, and maybe the bloodline gets involved. I don't know. I'm not sure if it makes sense, but
there's a couple options they can go with giving them heaters. Like, I thought A-Town Down Under is one good one. Carmelo Hayes, somebody who's known, who's worked with Cena.
There's a lot you can do there.
Carmelo Hayes should absolutely get Carmelo Hayes in because of that talent and his ability. I mean, he would be perfect.
He's doing something with The Miz right now, which is also perfect for this faction.
Yeah,
yeah.
What was it? Mellow Don't Miz, right? That's what they say? Right, yes. Bring them both in. Yeah.
They're all Hollywood types. If you bring all the Hollywood types together and make a faction for it about it. I think that the Hollywood faction, or would be awesome. I think they'd have like, and then they could put on bangers with LA Knight because they'd be trying to get him involved. But LA Knight's like, I don't want to be a part of this shit. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it would be faction against faction. It would be basically like what we saw in the Attitude, the McMahon Helmsley faction. Then you had everyone against them, right? So you had The Rock, and then
Yep.
Undertaker came in, and then Kane, and then obviously Jericho, Big Show, everyone else.
Yeah. The key to it is not making Cena have to do too much because it's his last year. One thing you don't want to happen right now, especially during Mania season, him getting injured
Exactly.
and just throwing up plans. So having some heaters there to prevent him from getting
Well, you
injured.
got to save him and CM Punk,
Yes.
right? So you have to save Cena and CM Punk right now, and it's for two reasons. They're older guys. You know what I mean? And even if they can go, we know they can go. They still get injured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that just happens with older wrestlers. They get injured, and that's just the way that it is. You've been falling on your back for 35 years. You're going to get injured, in one match. It just happens that way, especially when you turn it on and go full speed finally. And you need Cena. You need CM Punk. Without Cena and CM Punk right now, things will fall apart.
Correct. I agree. They are integral parts of the story. So
And that's why Cena got to beat CM Punk at the end of that elimination chamber. That's why the story is not over. Nowhere close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to your point, that's a great segue because the interesting thing is Seth did the curb stomp to CM Punk, and he was almost heel-esque when Seth is looking back through the cage to see CM Punk get submitted. It was very, very interesting to me. I mean, I'm
Did
not sure
you
if they're going
hear
to
what
turn
Seth
Seth.
said?
What he said?
While Cena was had him in the what is it called? It's the FU?
The STF.
Yeah.
STF? Seth was yelling at Punk to die.
Die. Yeah. He's like,
It was so
die.
wild. Like, yo,
It's crazy because I call Seth Rollins out on this heel. Everyone keeps cheering Seth, but Seth is the heel, and I don't think that everyone's noticed that yet. You
yes,
know what I mean? Seth has been a heel probably for the last 6 to 7 months. Straight up heel. He's done nothing but heel activity for the last 7 months. There's been no face attitude from Seth in 7 months. And if you guys go back, when's the last time he's done anything that was remotely face like?
even in the Royal Rumble, after the match, he curb stomped Roman like he
For
could at
no
any
reason.
point for no reason. He just tried to take him out. That was
He
like,
curb
yo,
stopped him twice.
yeah, just to take him out. That's not a face move.
Like the first curb stomp was enough, but you curb stomped Roman twice.
Yeah,
It's interesting. It's very interesting because, I mean, whichever way it goes, I mean, to the point, right? I don't know if Seth's going to eventually turn heel at some point. It would make sense if he does, because of what we're talking about, these little kind of seeds that they're planting. But I mean, do you see Seth aligning with Rock and Cena at some point,
Yeah.
and then Roman
Yes.
coming in, and then it'd be Roman and Cody together against this Rock, Cena, Seth, Carmelo, what have you, Miz faction? I mean,
Seth
golly.
always goes corporate. Seth always goes corporate. The
Yeah.
whole way Seth turned his back on Roman in the first place was going corporate.
Yeah.
Seth's gone corporate like 7 times. He has no problem going corporate, none whatsoever.
that's one of the things Cody said in the when they were talking. They had the conversation they had together. Like, yeah, you telling me selling my soul. You already sold yours a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Like the whole reason the WWE looks like this, Seth, is because you sold your soul. Like, if CM Punk said the same thing, you don't even have one, and you dress like an oven mitt. So that was hilarious. CM Punk like you dressed like an oven mitt today. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm gonna cook you. CM Punk's promos are top tier right now.
They are.
Top tier.
Top tier. I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, God, there's so many directions they can go with this. And obviously, let's just talk about the match itself. I mean, obviously, starting off, you had, McIntyre and then Seth, then Priest comes in, then Paul. Obviously, there are a lot of different spots here and there. I think one that stuck out to me was Priest eliminating McIntyre again when he's been like beating him like every single time they face off this past year. Like Priest he beat McIntyre at WrestleMania and cash in. He beat McIntyre during his entire reign as champion. He beat McIntyre again, and Priest told McIntyre, "You take your eye off the ball because you're obsessed with Punk." And basically, lo and behold, I wonder if there's going to be a Priest McIntyre program at some point. Heading into WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, there is going to be. They addressed it it got addressed like 3 times in that promo on SmackDown, which is why that like WWE fans need to watch. And this is one of the reasons why I'm going to take a shot here. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I get pissed off at AEW. WWE makes sure to include things in their weekly episodic shows, even if there's not as much wrestling on the weekly episodic show, that is going to get you to a point to understand this story. Whereas I think AEW tries to wrestle out the story, and it doesn't have the same effect.
I agree. They do that. They'll
know,
put AEW puts on like a great match, and then you never hear about that match again. And then it's almost like, what's the point?
Yeah, like is anybody talking about the Kenny Omega and Ospreay match from a couple of months ago? No,
Which was fantastic.
Yeah,
but
nobody's talking
they've moved
about
on, and that's the problem. WWE's gonna give
that's
you
one of the best
a match
matches I've ever seen.
Yeah, WWE's gonna tell you a story, give you a match, and make you think about that match. Like people are still talking about Penta's first match.
They are. I'm still thinking about it. I'm obviously a George Kittle fan, you know what I mean? So that's why.
Look, Penta is extremely over. I like to look at wrestling TikToks. Penta is extremely over right now.
Yes.
As is, and I share them with you guys all the time. Jey Uso is completely over right now. And there's nobody in AEW that's over as more over than even the number 4 or 5 or 6 guys in WWE. And that's a problem.
I agree.
I agree.
Is there any like okay, for example, who's the most over guy in AEW, do you think? Kenny Omega?
Kenny Omega,
Hangman Page?
Hangman, what's her name? Tony Storm.
Okay, so let's walk this back just 4 years to 2021, right? Let's go to 2020, even better. 2020. Jericho was the most over person in wrestling.
Yes. Everyone knew.
And he didn't even work for WWE anymore. He was the most over person in wrestling. Coming out as number 2 was Roman Reigns, and number 3 was Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
That was so you had 2 of the top 3 most over people in wrestling working for AEW. Then you introduced.
If you want to go
Cody
further,
Rhodes,
and Moxley.
Moxley and Dustin Rhodes, because Dustin Rhodes was extremely over in wrestling around that time. And so you're telling me that AEW went from having a neck and neck at 5-5 top 10 with WWE with the top spot in their company to now their most over person in their company is probably like number 11 or 12 on the most over people in wrestling. The most over person in their company is like number 12 on the list of most over people.
Yeah.
And that whole first 11 is dominated by the WWE. I can think of 11 people in WWE more over right now than anyone in AEW.
Well, some of a lot of that's self-inflicted. Like when you give away 2 of your biggest stars to WWE and they make them bigger stars.
Not to WWE, back to WWE.
Yeah.
After they said, I don't want to be in WWE.
Yes.
Fuck WWE. They literally said this, all of them on national television in the middle of a ratings war. And they still went back. What does that tell you about AEW?
Yeah. They got to get it together. Like I said.
Yeah.
Isn't it too far gone? Isn't it?
I don't think it's too far gone. I think the AEW needs to understand what they are. I always say it like this. WWE is McDonald's. And what I mean by that's not a knock on WWE at all. McDonald's, people love McDonald's. People who love McDonald's is going to go to McDonald's. No way you're going to stop somebody from getting their Big Mac, their Quarter Pounder, their Happy Meal. They sell billions. They accommodate everybody. The AEW, on the other hand, is someplace like Five Guys. It has its audience, but it's not going to appeal to everybody. And if you don't like it, it comes off overpriced, too much bloat. Like, we don't really need this. You don't eat Five Guys every day. You eat it sometimes.
Right now, TNA is more like Chick-fil-A. They close on Sundays.
Exactly. and I get it. WWE's the king, and at this point, there's no way you're going to top the king. They like the NBA. They like the NFL. They are king. They've laid down their foundation. And what Vince McMahon did when he was
that
there,
that was what he wanted to do. He
yeah,
wanted to be he wanted WWE to be wrestling's NFL.
correct.
And he did it. I
And
mean, he absolutely did it. You know, it's interesting because, I mean, kind of to the point, right? When you watch the Mr. McMahon kind of coach, we talked about, you know, back in August, right? Or September, whenever it was. Well, the Mr. McMahon documentary came out on Netflix, right? Vince said, you know, in that documentary, like, you know, he talked to his dad about it. His dad was basically saying, "Oh, you have to respect your fellow promotions, your regional promoters. You know, respect everyone in New York and Midwest, respect them, and handshake agreements, this and that." And then Vince said, "Why do I have to respect them?" You know, he told his dad, like, he said, if I have enough money and I have enough interest, I can buy all the cable networks in their regions and the territories, and that way, then I force their hand to have to either do business with me or hit the road and declare bankruptcy.
yeah,
And at the end of it, he said, his dad said, "You know what, Vince, fuck him." You know,
Yeah, his dad was mad at first, but then his dad was like, "No, I like this.
Exactly.
This is great."
Exactly.
It's like because he's like his dad woke up, and that's when he rehired his dad. He was just like, "It's like I was sleeping for a while, whatever. Let's go. Fuck them all."
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, obviously Vince's personal life, you know, we're not gonna get too much because obviously of who he is not it's not
not a
something we
great
should be
person.
embodying. Yeah, good. Yeah,
Not a great person, but you can't deny what he created and what he
absolutely.
brought to pro wrestling. I
True
think a lot of
greatness.
people you can deny. A lot of things you can deny. You can even deny Hulk Hogan to an extent. But Vince McMahon brought pro wrestling to the level it is. Without Vince McMahon, you don't have AEW. You don't have TNA. You don't have what we have today. The pageantry of
He
it.
wrote the blueprint.
Yeah.
Like the blueprint was Vince's,
Yes. He made the stars,
and now everybody tries to copy it.
And he also showed that, much like the NFL, no one is bigger than the brand.
Absolutely not. No one is bigger than the brand.
Yeah,
the brand is
not.
always
Nobody's bigger than the brand.
Yeah, it's interesting because AW, I mean, I love the workers, like you were talking about, but the stories, you know, where it's missing. I don't know what's missing. It's just something's not there.
I think they're missing the point in who they should elevate and who they should not elevate. I think they have a great crop of people there who are characters. I think Swerve Strickland's really good. I think Hangman Page is good. I think MJF is really good. I think Kenny Omega's really good. And while they have good stories with those characters, when you're highlighting stuff like the Dick
Orange
Riders,
Cassidy,
him too. When you're highlighting when you're putting on Front Street the Death Riders and Jericho now, not Prime Jericho when he was like in 2021, but Jericho now, kind of like, why do I want to watch this?
For the record, I like Orange Cassidy. I just don't know what he's going to do with this character now because the whole point was him being a slacker.
Yeah, and now he's not a slacker. Now he's like super worker, which I like about him. He's a great wrestler, but it doesn't add anything to the story. And plus, I think they kind of buried him a little bit with this Death Rider story.
They nerfed him. Yeah, he got nerfed.
Yeah.
Dick Riders.
Yes.
Can everyone see that?
That's dope.
Vincent McMahon.
Yes, sir.
I forgot he had a star on the Walk of Fame.
Exactly. You forgot. And that's exactly why he has it, because what we're talking about.
Apparently he's going to win. So I don't talk about this type of stuff because, hey, we just know that from what they said and from the way that he described himself, he's not the best person in the world, but he also looks like he can't lose ever. So
ever. Can't beat him.
He's one of those people that's like a force of nature. You know what I mean?
Frankly, he is the American dream and the American nightmare at the same time. He is what people aspire to be, and at the same time, he is what people hate. And what I mean by that is, like, people want to be that type of rich, but they see what that type of rich does to other people, and they're like, "Ugh, that's
you don't get that kind of rich man by not hurting a lot of people."
Yes, I agree, 100%.
You have to hurt a lot of people to get that much wealth too.
And that's why people don't want it.
It's just how it is.
Exactly. That's why I don't want it. I mean, golly.
The man still owns he owns more stock in the company than some of the board members. He owns more stock than The Rock.
Yeah.
He's not done with WWE. He just doesn't run it.
Yeah.
He still owns the majority of the stock. Like, that's not TKO's holdings. And he owns more than most of the board members. That's why WWE doesn't say anything negative about him, and that's why they haven't quote unquote suit. That's why they've distanced or quieted or silenced, but he's not gone. If that makes any sense.
Yes.
That makes perfect sense.
He's like with that much purchasing power, he can do a lot of things. It's a publicly traded company. He can literally start buying people out of spite. You know what I'm saying? Like he could buy out most of the public stock too if he wanted.
Yeah.
You know, and he's not because think about it. If he started inflating the stock with loads of cash and people are cashing out with his money, he's getting what he wants. Think about like, for example, small shareholders, people who own like, let's say they own $300 worth of stock, right? His billions. Think about how many people would start selling that 300 if it inflated to 6,
Yeah.
9, 1,000. I'd cash out for it. I'd cash out my WWE stock for $1,000 right now.
Yeah. Why not?
And you think 100 of us, 200 of us, 400 of us, 1,000 of us is going to break Vince? Not even close.
No.
Not even close.
$3.5 billion net worth, guys. For reference, The Rock, the final boss, is worth $800 million. And he's had multiple box office hits, multiple movies who have grossed over $10 billion worldwide, right?
A football franchise.
Yeah.
He has multitude of
Yes.
things.
A whole
Yeah.
football franchise. Not team,
A franchise.
and franchise. The entire operation.
Yep, the entire league. And Vince McMahon is still more than 4 times the net worth. So.
He's got the money. Let's just let's just say it this way. The shark in the water that always wins, just leave him alone. Let him chill. Let him die. Stop suing him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this because I don't think that it's right to sue him. I'm saying this because your life would probably be a lot easier if you left Vince alone. Everyone's life would probably be easier if they left Vince alone. Just let him get old.
Yeah.
He's already old. Let him get a little bit older. Leave him alone.
As we see, some people like him can be very vindictive, and they come back for you, and they find stuff, and make your life a living hell.
He only sold the WWE to be vindictive. If you know, you know. He only sold it because he was pissed off.
Yes. I will never get over when these allegations first came out, and this motherfucker was like, I'm just going to show up on SmackDown anyway, just so people can praise him. And they get cheered, and he just left.
And they cheered him.
Yeah. That's a different type of power.
And he showed it. He went out. He did it on purpose. He wanted to show them. Everybody knows what happened. Everybody's got the internet. Everybody's talking about it. I'm Vince McMahon. Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody going nuts in the crowd. And he gave off a list of his accomplishments and dropped the mic and walked out.
Yeah, that's crazy. But it's Vince.
Leave him alone. Stop fucking with him. Let him die. Like I said, let him die. Just leave him alone.
We will see. All right, so pretty much that is the main event from Elimination Chamber. Let's talk about some more highlights. Obviously, Sami Owens. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Sami versus KO. Match was obviously a barn burner. It ended with KO getting the pin and trying to end Sami's career, but then a secret surprise return from the Apex Predator, Randy Orton, who was about to hit a punt, and then they stopped him in his tracks. So, fellas, what was your reaction to that match and that surprise return, and what is your outlook for that specific feud?
Let him kick.
Yeah.
Let him kick.
My thing is this. Why is KO, and I love KO, allowed to attempt to end people's careers every week? But Randy Orton is like, I'm about to kick his goddamn head off. You're like, nah, you can't do that. What are you talking about?
Hey, Randy, your punt's been banned for 15 years.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That power driver's been banned since Stone Cold Steve Austin broke his neck.
Like, no, Randy, you can't do that. No, fuck that.
That's literally been banned since 96.
97. But yeah.
97, yeah. Owen Hart when he snapped his neck.
Exactly.
It's been banned since 97. Like, You let him do this every week. You let this man walk around with the Winged Eagle title. Steve Austin was like, I had the Winged Eagle title for one day. Like, so Stone Cold's probably sitting in his office like, you gave this man my stunner. You let this man power drive people. You let him have the Winged Eagle title for months. He goes, what am I? Like, if I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin, I'm thinking to myself, like, Triple H, you hated me that much? Like, you hated me that much? Like, like, I know we buried the hatchet, but you hated me that much, Triple H.
Yes.
You hated me that much that this is what you've done. And the funny thing about it is, they like the one thing that I would have done if I was WWE is whenever they came up with those packages, they talked about the Winged Eagle title, but they never really referenced it in what it meant to certain wrestlers. They just talked about who had it. And like they didn't even mention Austin. He won that title.
Yeah.
Like Austin went through the most title changes, in his career, in my opinion, than anyone else. Think about it. He went through the old Eagle title. What was that one? The green one? He went through the old. No, it was it brown?
No, it was
I think
green.
it was brown.
Yeah, it was brown. It was blue. Blue. Sorry.
Yeah, the blue title. He went through the blue title. He went through the Winged Eagle title. He went through the Big Eagle. All three versions of the Big Eagle were Austin's. All three versions were Austin's. He had the Broken Skull title. He had the what was the one right after that? It was the
he had the big gold belt.
Undisputed. Yeah, the big gold belt, Undisputed champion. And then he had the scratch belt and then the corporate logo belt. And now this one. So Austin's been wrestling and active wrestling all those belt eras. And yet they didn't mention Austin. And I was just like,
you know why, right?
The
reason why is because when they asked Austin to come back for the Raw Netflix premiere, Austin wanted too much money.
They're both. That's why they wouldn't mention him.
He said he said what Cody said to The Rock.
That's what they're saying. Austin wanted way too much money to be on, and to make appearances and to kind of, be involved. So this is kind of their way of, basically give him the finger. Ultimately, I just think it's interesting because, that's why they have to focus on, getting these washed up guys like Hogan and whatnot to come out because Austin is not showing up, right? And
that's the whole reason Hogan came out, right? It's because Austin wasn't there.
Exactly, because Hogan wasn't even. I think Hogan was Plan C. I think Undertaker was supposed to show up and he couldn't make it. So it was supposed to be Austin, Taker, and neither one can make it. So they had to get Hogan. So
they didn't have to get Hogan. They could have left his old ass right where he was at.
They should have got Chad Gable. They had Chad Gable. No, I mean like they should have used him for that campaign.
Yeah,
All American Beer.
Yeah, think about this for a second.
Real American Beer.
What kind of opportunity? So Chad Gable has fans, right? People love Chad Gable, even if they boo Chad Gable. Yes. They love Chad Gable. Chad Gable with a real beer company, as an All-American, being a super American guy selling American beer, he could have done vignettes on national television that were doubling as commercials. Think about it. Chad Gable sitting around with his boys. Hey, pass me some of that American made. You know what I'm saying? And then he launches a promo, but it's really a commercial and a promo at the same time. You just made people want to buy Chad Gable's beer.
Yeah.
WWE, give me my money. I just gave you a great idea. Chad Gable, you're welcome.
Because I don't want that whatever Hogan's out there selling.
People were buying Bootios. They're definitely going to buy the beer, okay?
I don't want that Make American Great Again.
Exactly. You see, they fucked up. Chad Gable could have sold that beer, man. I'm telling you.
He could have sold it. He definitely could have.
That man's an Olympian. He could have sold the beer, okay?
Kurt
Angle that way, too. Kurt's dry. He couldn't. He wouldn't do it.
He ain't got to drink it.
You know what I'm saying? Kurt's super dry. You know what I'm saying? Kurt's a recovering, addict, so he wouldn't touch it. You know what I mean? And Kurt's a real sweet dude, man. Did you watch his interview with Van Vliet?
I felt so bad for him.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He's a really good dude. Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
He is truly a nice guy. After I met him, a few years ago, he was just like one of the coolest, most down to earth, Yeah, you can't see it, but up there, that's Kurt Angle signed. Actually, it's Eddie. Okay, is it blocked off? Yeah, it's in the corner. You
Yeah,
can't see it,
he
but
has Kurt Angle's
Kurt Angle.
signature. He has
Yeah,
Muhammad Ali's gloves. He has Thanos Infinity Gauntlet up there, signed by Thanos.
Right? Kurt Angle is probably the only wrestler that I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk shit about.
Right.
Like, I don't think I've heard people talk bad about every other wrestler, no matter who they are, except Kurt Angle. Nobody's ever talked bad about Kurt Angle. Everybody loves him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Across all
interesting.
the brands, everybody loves Kurt.
And obviously, a lot of the shit talk amongst wrestlers is due to tribalism, right? I think it clicks, right? Obviously, Nash and Hogan, they're gonna or Nash and Hall, they're gonna talk bad. They're gonna back up Triple H. They're gonna talk bad about The Rock. They're gonna say, he's a prick, he's this and that, but then Kurt Angle is one name, like to your point, Cortez. I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about him.
Never heard anybody say anything bad about Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
No wrestlers. And we interview, we watch, and we listen to so many different wrestling podcasts and wrestlers themselves, and no one has ever said anything bad about, Kurt Angle. I've heard people rip Triple H apart.
Oh, several times. They're still doing it now.
I've heard people. I've watched someone ask someone questions, and the person, instead of answering the question, just launches into ripping Triple H apart. And I'm just like,
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
No habla inglés.
No habla English.
I was like, wait, what? Like, everybody's face is, wait, what? Scott, you getting that? So just not, but never with Kurt Angle. Nope, never with Kurt Angle. Never. Guy, I hope Kurt is like, I don't know. That dude's a machine. And even though like listen him talk about his pain, how he like, but he still has a great attitude every day. You know what I mean? Like he's doing DDP yoga too.
Give that man like, them Rey Mysterio stem cells.
You know what I mean? Inject him with some type of DNA or something. Because Kurt's he literally put America on his back, and I think if there's one, he needs to be in conversation for one of the greatest Americans ever. I think so.
Absolutely. No, that's definitely a good point. So
but yes, back to where you're at. Let Randy punt that man.
Let Randy punt that man. And
he deserves it.
He deserves it. And I'm thinking it's obviously they're saving it for WrestleMania. That's what's happening. They're saving for WrestleMania. It's going to be KO.
Yeah, Randy and Kevin is at WrestleMania. Like Sammy's probably on vacation for a couple of weeks. Sammy's on vacation for a couple of weeks. We won't see Sammy again for a while.
It's fine. I mean,
I think he needs a vacation.
Yeah,
they've been showing him doing stuff with his family a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I think he needs some time at home for a little bit. Randy got his. Now he's back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Sammy had WrestleMania moment last year when he went over on Gunther for the IC title, and the longest IC title reign in history.
He had the WrestleMania moment the year before that too, when he beat Jimmy and Jay.
When he beat Jimmy and Jay, exactly.
In the main event of WrestleMania, in the main event with Kevin Owens.
So no, definitely looking forward to Randy punting that man. We're gonna see that, and
let Randy punt that man. Randy doesn't care about winning the match; he wants to punt people.
Oh, I just got an idea. Let me run this by you guys, because we're talking about in the previous segment about the Cody versus the Rock versus Rock, Cena, Miz, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Will Randy be introduced into that at some point?
Yeah,
he should be.
Yeah, like you can't have Cena on the roster doing anything without Randy Orton getting his nose in it, and he's on SmackDown.
Yeah,
he's on SmackDown.
But it's hilarious because Cena's going to be the heel, Randy's going to be the face. We've never seen when they've gone at in their entire feud.
You've never seen that.
Bizarro world.
We have literally entered the wrestling twilight zone.
We have.
I love it. I love it. Think about this for a second. Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Jimmy, and Jey Uso are all faces right now. While Cena is a heel, The Rock is a heel, Kevin Owens is a heel, and it's Seth Rollins, in my opinion, is a heel. You know what I mean? And and I think that McIntyre's a surefire heel. That dude's a
Yeah.
heel.
Yeah. And he
Yeah,
was a face a few years ago.
he was the face.
Yeah.
Yep.
McIntyre was the face of the company. He was the face
During the
that runs the
pandemic,
place.
he was the man.
Yeah. He was the face that ran the place. He was doing all types of weird stuff with swords and
Yeah.
cutting ropes. You know what I'm saying?
Boy,
Where's that guy at?
boy, I'm glad Vince got the fuck away from that doing that shit. Not
Man, I
even fuck
hated
about
that.
it.
Look, I don't like the 3-2-1 thing, and I don't like the sword. Okay, he needs to drop the 3-2-1 because I understand why he added the 3-2-1. It was to give the crowd something to do to load up to his claymore, but it never really like struck me as like Shawn Michaels tuning up the band was something that he had been doing way before the crowd actually caught on. You know what I'm saying? He never stopped doing it until the crowd like caught on. And it took a decade for the crowd to just be like, oh yeah, he's tuning up the band. You know what I mean? If you go back and watch some of those matches, even in the 90s against Brett, like the crowd wasn't popping that way.
Yeah, because fans were a lot dumber back then.
Yeah, like they didn't. The fans were way dumber in the mid 90s and the early 90s, especially. But later on, you started to see the pops in the mid 2000s, 2002 for sure. You know what I mean? You started to see Michaels get those pops for some of the stuff that he was doing. And I think that's really when like real fandom kicked off. Like the Attitude Era was great because everybody's looking for the shock value, but like fans came back in the mid 2000s and early 2000s. Fans came back, like people who were just going to cheer because they know this is when we cheer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. I think that's the other thing that AEW is missing. Like sometimes people don't know when to cheer.
Or who to cheer.
I mean, who you going to cheer in the Ospreay versus Omega match? Everyone?
Yeah. Too much you can do like it.
It's
Who am
crazy
I going to
because
cheer?
right. I mean, to that point, because kind of you saw the chamber match last night. So many moments where it was like, Cena versus Punk or Punk versus Rollins or whatever, right? And the crowd knew exactly who to cheer. You heard the yay, boo. I mean, versus, it's funny because it's an interesting contrast because Cena's last run, every time Cena would be trading bars with Randy or whoever, right? It would always be Cena would be on the boos, right? Getting the boos, right?
Yep.
Every time the guy's hitting him, yay, the Cena boo. So now it's the other way, right? Cena's getting the yays,
Yep.
and now he just flipped that. Now he had that for like one moment, and now every time everyone sees him, he's going back to the boos. The boo birds coming out every time.
He's actually earning the booze.
I like Cena is at his best when the crowd can choose whether this is a cheerable or a booable moment. I did not like the fact that you basically made it a sin to boo Cena.
Which now you
And
made it.
okay, we're in the middle of a war. Who's gonna boo a guy that's devoting all of his time to helping Marines,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
donating money to Marines, doing all of the Make a Wish Kid Foundation stuff. Who's gonna boo that guy? No one.
But everyone did.
They just ran a video package for 5 minutes about him visiting kids with cancer and buying their parents Ferraris. You gonna boo this guy? Now it's like we can boo him now. Thanks.
I can't boo nobody who buy me a Ferrari.
Now we can boo him. We have his permission.
You buy me a Ferrari, you can do whatever the fuck you want to, bro.
You can't boo that. You can't boo that guy. You can't boo that guy. You know what I'm saying? He bought you a Ferrari. He fed the homeless. He hung out with the Marines and bought them New Jerseys and everything. Like we love John.
You might make Cena. You might make Cena
because you basically have permission.
Exactly. No. I think that was
Let's
the issue.
go Cena. Cena sucks.
Exactly. No, and that's the point, bro. Because at that point, like that's why Cena was so booed in 2006 onwards because he was being force fed. You know, and like to your point, I mean, no one was. No one was allowed to say, "Oh yeah, we don't like this guy," or the creative kept him as a face. 22 years he's been a face. I mean, that's unprecedented. I don't know anyone has been a face that long in their entire runs.
They had to give us sucker and succotash Roman Reigns for us to cheer Cena.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was not good.
I mean, we were talking about how great Vince is as a genius, but like I think there was some point in the
He's
last
had his
decade,
misses.
where I think his brain just kind of did, floated away from the body, just natural separation of brain and body.
He's old.
He is.
He's old. And
Also,
stuff
he's weird.
changes.
He's
Yeah,
weird. He
he's
has like
weird.
certain fetishes that he like and things like that.
Yep. But we
He
don't need to
booked the
get.
show for himself.
Yes, he did. I mean, that's Roman's character was so stale, being the big dog and being all this stuff, and no one, the fans kept saying we don't like it, and Vince kept the war. What they say, right? The war on the fans. He kept the war on the fans just to spite everyone. Okay, yeah, this is the version of Roman you're gonna get. Like, why? Like, are you even questioning why Vince anymore? No, I'm just gonna put him because he has a look. Okay,
No,
he has a
listen,
look, but
no,
can he?
I'll give you him and you'll like it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, man. I'm just happy
Well,
now.
you don't like it. You don't like it. That's too bad because that's what you're gonna get, whether you like it or not.
Like a parent feeding a belligerent child. You got to eat it. You got to take it, whether you like it or not. Oh man, but no.
I want McDonald's. That's too damn bad. That's too damn bad.
You gotta have McDonald's.
You thought you were gonna get a different reason?
Yeah. Eat this Chick-fil-A and be happy.
Well, Chick-fil-A. I mean, who's gonna
got
complain
two
about Chick-fil-A?
choices. You
Who's gonna complain about
can eat it and
Chick-fil-A?
be happy,
If you want
or you can
McDonald's, you are.
eat it. Yeah, you can eat it and be happy. You can eat it and don't be happy. I don't really care, but you're eating
Yeah.
it regardless.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't
You-
feel like a chicken sandwich.
You
Sometimes I want a
get-
burger.
you, so the kids, you see, it was funny being black growing up. You tell, oh yeah, I want this. That's great. What job did you clock out from today?
Exactly. That is a common thing. Like, you can want a lot of things. That ain't what you get.
So what I asked the question, why do you want this? Why can't you do this? I mean, I'm the one paying for it, so I do get a job. That's not part of the rules. Do you have food? Yes. Do you have clothes? Yes. All right then.
You're good. We gave you the bare minimum.
Exactly.
Food, clothes, and a roof.
Exactly. Speaking of
I
which,
want a new iPhone. Me too.
Speaking of which, I gotta give attention to my boy's chain over the number 24 with the Tez chain. Ooh, he's talking about
thank you.
living rich broke, but I see the gold ice around that neck, boy.
Oh yeah.
Balling.
It's a nice little custom piece.
Yes,
I
Nice
think
little
he played
custom
football
piece.
or something.
Yes, sir.
Something like that. It's something
Something
like that.
TEZ Tez. I love it. I love it. Women's, obviously, we'll recap the women's real quick. Tiffany Trish, I don't care. Cheap pop and just setting up court.
That was a hometown.
Whoop that ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Jay beat the brakes off Naomi.
Let's talk about that. I do want to talk about the Elimination Chamber for the women's side. There was too many things that stuck out, but I just want to focus on two things. Number one, Jade's return and whooping on with Naomi. Second, obviously, Bianca winning and now facing either Rhea or Io, whoever wins tomorrow night. Most likely it's going to be Rhea, which is a dream matchup. Talk to me, big guys.
Did you see the wardrobe malfunction? Like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. It was bad.
I didn't know who had one. Who had one?
Liv. What happened was, well, fortunately, she had on underwear. But the spot where Bianca is slamming her against the cage, I guess she grabbed her wrong and moved her whole pants out the way. So you just saw her undergarments. Like, ooh.
Why was everybody wearing white last night?
I don't know.
So many girls wearing white at the beginning. I was like, why? They're not on the same team.
But it definitely was a thing. It was a great elimination chamber. It was brutal. It was really brutal.
Oh yeah, it was good. It was great. I enjoyed it.
It was really good.
I thought Bianca winning was the right call.
I agree.
Out of the crop that was in there, you don't want to put Liv back against Rhea.
Please no.
I don't like the new girl Roxanne Perez, even though she's been killing it on NXT. She ain't ready for that. She got a lot of character development that she's got to do.
Also, we kind of got that type of feud with Charlotte and Tiffy.
Exactly.
kind of first time feud. So it kind of makes sense. Give us a dream match, and I think Rhea
Right.
versus Bianca is a
Bianca
dream
is a
match.
dream match. Yeah, because you're
Exactly.
either they're on opposite ends or they're both faces. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, this is great. I think I think this. Let me. Okay, so when the last time you seen a sister walk out, whoop somebody, and not say a word?
Oh, I've been to a few parties that it happened. And it wasn't pretty.
Yeah,
Scene.
man.
Now
Wasn't a pretty scene.
you know that like when they don't say nothing at all, that's just the first ass whooping.
Yeah, more to come.
There are more ass whoopings to come, and that's why like I'm not jumping in with like the other casters that talk about wrestling. I'm not jumping all over this one yet. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. There's a lot more going on than just her whooping Naomi's ass.
Bro,
That was the first of many ass whoopings.
look, if I would have saw Jade Cargill walking towards me like that, I don't know. That might be a problem. The way she whooped Naomi's ass, I'm like, whoo! I haven't seen one of them ass whoopers like that in a minute. She put some stank on that.
She whooped that ass.
It was so funny that Jordan Grace responded because everybody was asking Jordan, why you help your girl? She was like, I'm not gonna help her fight against goddamn She-Hulk.
Exactly.
Nah,
bro.
nah, we're gonna stay out of this one.
Yeah.
They said Bianca crying because those are both her friends, and she don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
She knows something.
Cortez, I'm quite sure you've seen that conversation happen too. Like two girls fighting, and the third was the friend. Like, I don't know who to help. I can't help either one of them. I'm cool with both of them.
These are my homegirls. Like, don't pull her hair too hard.
Exactly.
I was looking out for you. How? I told her not to pull your hair that hard. You didn't tell her not to pull my hair though, because maybe you deserved it a little bit. I don't know.
I've seen scenarios where that situation went down. Like, ooh.
Exactly what it was. She slapped me, girl. You kind of deserved it. She didn't punch you. What you mean? I kind of deserved it? You supposed to say that ain't nobody supposed to slap me? No, I wish I would have slapped you. I just like you a little bit more than she does. You know, you still cool.
As the great meme always says, you should have taught your man how to squabble. That's all it is. When they come up to it, boy, and Naomi did a great job because once she saw Jade come in, and Jade started coming, the look of fear in her eyes, like she looked at Bianca like, I'm finna die. Like, yeah, you probably finna die.
And also, Liv did a great job. Yeah, Liv did a great job too, showing kind of that concern because she didn't know what was going on. So
the fans, do it.
Yeah. If the fans were guessing, because we're left to guess who did it, So
we're not gonna find out. See y'all on SmackDown on Friday.
I have a question because I'm very curious about this. The way Naomi got her ass kicked, how can you pivot that to her being the heel in the situation?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because the fans were.
So you got to go with the characters. So Naomi is always like, she's a face, but she always borders on turning heel. Always.
Yes.
The fact that she is so old, she just did a tag team match with Bayley on Friday, and you know how Bayley is, pancake.
Correct.
Yeah, especially these days. Like, Bayley's one of those people where it's like, Bayley, I'm going to boo you. Like, I hope you understand that and respect it. I'm going to boo you. It's just how it is going to be. I'm going to boo you. You deserve to get booed by me, Bayley. And I'm going to boo you again the next time I see you, too. Doesn't mean that I hate you. It just means that I'm going to boo you because now you're in your 30s and you still say things like pooty doody. You're in your 30s.
Yeah.
Grow up. If you're not going to do the hugger baby girl character, don't be saying that type of stuff. Boo you, Bayley. And Bayley Pancakes, the whole damage control ran rampant for like 3 years. Trash stable.
It was
3 years. We had 3 years of that trash. And it's still going on. Secondly, Bayley, why do you have 3 songs mishmashed into one when none of them were good?
because they
She got
figured
three
since
intro songs mashed into one.
they all were so bad, they said if we make them together, we can make like an Optimus Prime of trash. Like we can do like a giant transformer of trash. That's what they did. Okay? Like the Voltron of crappy music.
Voltron.
Somebody fire these guys.
They're
Yeah,
trying.
Def Rebel, man. A lot to be desired, man. I miss Jim Johnson.
Yeah.
Fire
So,
Def Rebel. So I've come to find out that Def Rebel is not even a real group.
it's one dude, ain't it?
No, it's like a conglomeration. It's like a music company that just hires outside talent, like
Bro,
freelance people.
a motherfucker on a kazoo would do a better job than Def Rebel. Get somebody out there on a kazoo playing music.
Edge
That's
and
just trash.
Christian. Edge and Christian. You
Yeah.
know, get them out of AW contract, beat them back with the kazoos.
Yeah. That shit.
Did you
them
know
motherfuckers-
that Edge hasn't put over anyone in like a decade?
I respect
Hey,
it.
that's Roman. He put over Roman.
Roman was already over.
Yeah, but he put him over.
Like, I don't think he had much of a choice. He left
He
WWE.
didn't have any choice at all. That motherfucker, he had to say yes or get the fuck out of there.
I think that's why he went to AEW, because he realized that like they're not gonna give me a top
I
run
respect
again.
it. I respect it. Fucking, I ain't putting nobody over.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean
Edge.
Hogan Jr.
Hogan Jr.
I'm
Hogan
Edge.
said, I'll
Haven't
drop
you
the title.
seen-
I'll drop the title. And they're like, oh, you will? Not to any of these motherfuckers, though.
I'll drop it to Bill Goldberg.
It's none of these people. Like, you find somebody for me to drop the title to, and I'll drop it. But yeah, none of these
Yeah.
people. Why? They suck. All of them.
That
That's your
Goldberg
best
story is
friend
funny, by
right
the way.
there. Oh, the Goldberg story?
The whole notion of Hogan lost to Goldberg because he wanted to be the one to break the streak. And Nash was like, nah, son, fuck that.
I think it was
Mhm.
Bischoff. Bischoff probably said no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bischoff
I mean
said
Hogan.
no.
Yeah, Bischoff was a driving force behind WCW. I mean Hogan. I mean he was just a pawn, man. The brain behind the operation was the one who made the NWO. Brain behind the operation made Goldberg. Brain behind the operation made a product that whooped WWF's ass for 83 weeks.
83
Hey,
know?
weeks.
Bischoff had lightning in a bottle,
Yeah.
He did.
and he used it to the best of his ability. The only thing he said he regrets is signing Bret Hart.
But I mean, again, I mean,
But he said it wasn't because of Bret, though. He said he wishes he could have signed Shawn Michaels just because Shawn was a younger star,
yeah,
but also because he could have created more storylines out of it because of who was there at WCW at the time. The thing about Bret is you can only do so much with Bret because Bret had so much control of his character.
Yeah.
right.
Creative control was a big problem in WCW.
Right. And he was like,
Yeah.
you didn't, with Shawn Michaels, he wouldn't have had to give him creative control because he never wanted it. You know, he only wanted to be on TV. He didn't need creative control. If you let him be an asshole on television, he was going to go be an asshole on television. And that's what he wanted to do. So you don't need creative control for that. Just, hey, I'm going to fine you if you pull your ass out. How much is the fine? Just $10,000. Okay, I won't pull my ass out. Shawn Michaels pulls his ass out. Walks in with a check. My bad. You know how many times it happened? Like I've heard so many stories from like corporate when I watch like the corporate WWE stories, and they're talking about how many times Shawn Michaels and Triple H got fined during the Attitude Era. Like they would get fined every week, but they
Yeah.
would do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like they were doing it anyway. They were getting fined. They just didn't care anymore. And the thing is, like Vince would laugh about it because he knows he has to fine them because of the rules, but they just made him $1 million extra by doing what they did on television. And Bischoff's like, I would have loved that. Said it was just harder with Bret because there was no real good spot to put him. He didn't belong in doing some of the stuff they wanted him to do, like NWO stuff. Bret didn't belong in the NWO.
Right.
Bret wasn't a heel.
Oh, absolutely. And that's exactly the point. I think, I mean, Bret Hart that was the issue, and that was the issue. And I mean, to delve on your point, that was the issue with WCW in general. I mean, it was Nash and Hogan. They were controlling their own characters. They wouldn't talk to each other. So then, you had just an amalgamation of crap and shit and feces just on your TV.
Yeah.
So,
You can't write a story if the character's writing the story for you.
I mean,
If your job was to write a story,
you can't let the inmates run the asylum.
Yes.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you cannot let the inmates run the asylum. Go ahead.
Okay, so I like the first part, the second part, and the third part. You do? Yeah, but I'm not doing any of that.
That's not
You
going
just
to
told me you
work.
liked it. Yeah, so this is a beautiful story, but you don't want to tell it. No, I'm not interested in that. How about we just adjust it to where I'm standing at the top of this and everyone else is at my feet kissing them? That's not a good story. It sounds like a good story to me. Doesn't work for me, brother. That's Hulk Hogan in a nutshell.
Exactly.
Everyone wanted to talk about Brett or Sean for not wanting to drop the title to each other, but the worst person with that was Hogan. I don't think there's anybody worse than Hogan on not dropping that title. Maybe Cena at certain points. Because there's people he would drop it to.
Triple H, Reign of Terror.
Triple H, I know Cena didn't want to drop it to Jack Swagger, and in hindsight, you can't blame him.
Triple H screwed over Booker T, y'all, at WrestleMania 19. Never forget.
Triple H screwed over Booker T. That was intentional.
And don't forget the promo he cut. Don't forget the promo he cut. What did he say? You people? Was that the word? Yep.
He said, "People like you don't get to be WWE champion."
And he gave him $1 to get him to make him go fetch a towel.
He said, "People like you don't get to be WWE champion."
And he's never apologized for any of that. Anyone find that interesting?
He's not going to.
I don't want to get into Triple H.
Yeah, he's not going to apologize. And he's made it very clear on a couple of his podcasts that he's not going to apologize. And now, seeing as how his mother-in-law is in the cabinet for the president, he doesn't have to.
I'll put it this way. If you notice WWE programming, there was one thing conspicuously missing from Raw and SmackDown. That hasn't been missing none during Vince McMahon's era, which is crazy to think about. You know what it is, Ali?
No, shoot.
They did not celebrate Black History Month at all.
Ooh.
No, they didn't. They didn't at all this year. The previous years they did, not this year.
Yeah, the first time ever they didn't celebrate Black History Month.
Oh wow! I didn't catch.
They didn't do a Martin Luther King Day thing either this year.
Yeah,
they used to do them
every year.
They used to do Martin Luther King back in the Ruthless Aggression Attitude Era. I remember Chris Jericho.
Yeah, that was a big thing Vince did because he loves Martin Luther King. Believe it or not.
Yeah,
he loves Martin Luther King. He loves Martin Luther King. They didn't do one at all this year, or Martin Luther King Jr. or Black History Month. They didn't even mention that it was Black History Month.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's wild, bro. Ooh, scary. It's scary, So, I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyways, no, I mean, the product itself, outside of obviously what's going on behind the scenes, is better than it was when Vince was running. I mean, Vince in the last couple of years.
Well, you got Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel on top of both of these. There's nothing to worry about there. I think some booking decisions are conspicuously made. Like I am honestly not a fan of the shorter card for these premium live events.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand that it gives more time to the match, but I think some matches don't need that much time. I didn't think that the tag team match with Tiffy and them needed that much time.
Exactly. Cheap pops,
All four pops. Everyone loves Nia Jax. Everyone loves to boo Nia Jax. That's the character.
Yeah, she's great.
Everyone loves her, but everybody loves to boo. She's great. She's a good wrestler. She's become a great character. She does not mind jobbing, which is fine. She can job when she needs to job. You know what I'm saying? But she looks convincing even when she jobs. That's how you create a star. Shawn Michaels jobbing Stone Cold Steve Austin was as convincing of a jobbing act that you could ever give. It was perfect. And he even got punched by Mike Tyson. Okay?
Yeah.
It was perfect. That's how you create stars. Because now you just put this star at the same level of the star they beat, and that star doesn't lose any credibility for losing to you.
Correct.
Right.
And everybody remembers Shawn Michaels getting punched by Mike Tyson.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. Iron Mike Tyson. I think I saw a poll on YouTube recently who would win a fight, Mike Tyson or Austin? And I think it was 95% for Mike. So
Yeah,
in real
yeah,
life,
because he's an actual boxer.
exactly.
Yeah, so
That's actually a signed glove right there. It's Iron
He was
Mike
the baddest man
Lloyd
in
Ali.
the world.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
I love Mike Tyson.
I love me
So I'm
some.
gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with Bianca was the right choice for that match. I'm gonna go with you didn't really need too much out of the tag team women's tag team match from Montreal. That was the get your popcorn match.
Yeah,
No offense to Trish, she's awesome. She looks great.
she looks
Um,
amazing.
Tishy's doing her thing too. Tiffany Stratton. I like how they've finally acknowledged the fact that Tiffany Stratton is supposed to be the heir apparent to Trish Stratus, which
Yeah,
is that's perfectly fine. That should be like that. Um, we need more of that on the female side in wrestling. I think that we don't get very much history behind the female side in wrestling, and I feel like that's why a lot of them are overlooked. Because if you look on the men's side of wrestling, it's almost entirely historically driven. Like people are trying to create legacies, people are trying to honor legacies, people are trying to build and finish stories. People are. I got to watch the Iron Sheik in 1984, and I you don't really have that too much on the women's side because and that was mostly Vince's fault because like instead of hiring women wrestlers, he was hiring like models
Divas.
who had yeah they had
yep.
no. So for a whole generation and a half, the women's wrestling was watered down to the point of where it didn't even look like wrestling, even with seasoned actual wrestlers, not really given much time to do work on their shows, and then find out that people didn't train for 5 years because they never needed to. They were just divas, and I mean, I think there's some room for some of that, but they have to be able to wrestle. If you're going to be a WWE diva or any type of diva character, you got to be a good wrestler. You have to be a good wrestler. You have to make it part of your character and not just be who you are. And
I agree.
but now we're getting away from that, which is great. And now we have characters that make sense. And I think that it's starting to grow a little bit when they're starting to talk about the legacies of characters and where they came from. And you got people like Charlotte and Nia who have backgrounds, and people like Roxanne who were wrestling fans growing up and got to meet their heroes. Like for her, it was CM Punk and AJ Lee, and they influenced her a lot. And then you see Zelina Vega being portraying AJ Lee in that movie Fighting with My Family, as in Paige's family movie. It's great. It's awesome. I love to see it. And those are things that are going great. I think make match card a little bit longer. I hope WrestleMania has 12 matches on both sides. I want to be tired of watching wrestling by the time WrestleMania ends. I don't want to be sitting there like it's over. No, let it last for 8 hours. I don't care. WrestleMania is the only time where I will sit and watch 7 straight hours of wrestling,
Yeah,
and I'm not getting off the couch that day.
No need
Super
to.
Bowl of wrestling.
Super Bowl wrestling. Get
Exactly.
yourself some pizza, some nachos, some wings. Oh man.
I don't have breakfast, lunch, and dinner by the time this is ended. That's the way I want it.
Exactly, 100%. So we basically recap the Elimination Chamber pay per view. Now let's talk about WrestleMania, y'all, because there's. Let me actually read the match card real quick, because it's going to be a big one. It's here in Las Vegas, where this is going to be the first time I think it's come to Las Vegas. And so following Super Bowl, 58 last year, WrestleMania is basically going to be Vegas this year, and next year is going to be in New Orleans, following Super Bowl venue for this year. So let's just run down the match card. So now we have TBD, but we know that's going to be Rhea versus Bianca Belair for the World Championship, Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the Women's Championship, and Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the Undisputed WWE Championship. Of these matches, who are you most hyped about, and which matches do you see get made from now up until WrestleMania?
I'm most hyped for Jey Uso versus Gunther
Yep.
right now.
I am too.
I'm second most hyped for the direction that Cody and Cena are going to go in, and then I want to see what happens with where CM Punk ends up. I already know that's going to be Seth versus Rollins. I mean Seth versus Roman in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I think SmackDown's going to tell a story this week. I think this SmackDown that comes up this week is going to be very pivotal. I don't think it's going to be admissible. And then I think tomorrow's Monday Night Raw is going to be very important too. I think that these are going to be two very important shows in the episodic history of the road to WrestleMania because we don't have any more PLEs left.
Yeah.
100%. Delvin?
I'm excited to see Jey Uso win the title. I
Okay.
think he's deserving of it. I think the hate behind him is ridiculous. I think the man has put in the work. I think he's captivated the crowd with everything he does. He's like he has. When I look back and I think about when the whole main event Jey Uso thing happened, and like when that was years ago when Roman was talking about that,
Yeah, it
correct?
was years ago. He was fighting Roman Reigns.
Now it feels like we're finally starting to see that come to fruition. I'm really happy for the dude.
Then Roman, and that was in Hell in a Cell,
Yeah.
Did Roman
and
speak
then
it
Jimmy
into
saved him.
did Roman speak it into existence?
Oh yeah, he definitely did. I think
Yeah,
that Hell in a Cell match, it was great. I think it was a really great, and it
yeah, that
showed
was
that
the
that Jay.
pandemic Hell in a Cell. That was
It
the
was
pandemic Hell
pandemic
in a
hell in a
Cell.
cell.
I don't think people talk enough about that match in Roman's like reign. It was a really good match, and it's kind of highlighted how good Jay and Jimmy could be and selling matches and stuff like that. And I really kind of
It was great. It was
it's great.
great. It was great. Like
Top to bottom.
that's the one thing that I miss about the pandemic era is it was so heavily like story driven.
Yes.
The stories that they told during the pandemic overshadowed most of the wrestling. And then I don't know if people remember the Thunderdome era, but like the Thunderdome was great.
It was fun.
The Thunderdome was very great. It was fun. Like you got to see wrestlers be wrestlers
Yeah. You got to see a lot more
because
of their
there's a crowd
personality.
to deal with. Yeah, like the crowd was monitors, but they had all their aura still. It was great. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
You got to see a lot of stuff and a lot of character growth happen. The pandemic did great things for WWE. Some wrestling companies, failed, but WWE did great for the pandemic. It was good
Yeah.
for AEW too,
Yeah. The two big
because you
companies
got to see
thrive.
all. Yeah, they did great during the pandemic. Both of them did. They did great.
I liked how both of them handled it too. AEW had the small crowd of people who worked in the company just watch the show and cheer and stuff like that, while WWE had the Thunderdome, which gave like a wholly completely different vibe to it. That I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
It
I
made it feel more big time.
yeah,
It made it feel more big time. Like it definitely made it feel big time. And then the fact that I wasn't one of those people that could buy tickets. Like the tickets were so too expensive. I just had to watch it on television. But I was like, this would be great. Like it's like being at a live show without being at a live show. It's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I'm doing it from my desktop. You know what I'm saying? You got the little camera from your angle. Like that was awesome. The Thunderdome was dope. I
yeah.
just
I
it was
imagine
great.
that helped a lot of people become fans of WWE because they can just like, hey, I can just tap in and be part of the show from home.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
Well, a lot of people became fans. That's actually what got me back into WWE because a lot of it was also WWE then also being available on Peacock, also on W Network, and then Peacock as well. And essentially, then I mean, it gave me something to watch because as you remember, from I want to say from like March all the way till like August, there was nothing to watch on TV. Basketball,
No, there was no sports. There
no
was they
sports.
they had competitive dodgeball on ESPN.
So
Yeah,
it's just like, okay, so what do you do? So then and that's what got me back into it. It's wrestling every single week, wrestling every single,
Yeah,
and
all the podcasts were popping.
yeah, podcaster, yes,
Podcasts were all
sir,
doing record numbers.
yes, sir. No,
Independent production. You had like that's really what got me like to be really good fans of like a lot of the AEW characters because remember they had Being the Elite that came out once a week. You had AEW Dark, which used to air exclusively on YouTube.
great
You
show.
had and then you had all of these side shows they would do. Like I would love to see what Cody was going to do on Being the Elite. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like they had their own show that wasn't a part of like the main show.
It was great.
100%. So when
I miss Being the Elite, man. Kenny Omega was on there.
Amazing.
I yeah, that was good. I was gonna say, so yeah, when I see for WrestleMania, I see Kevin Owens versus Randy as a card as a match piece of the card. Obviously, Roman, Seth, CM Punk, there might be a three-way there. I want to get your guys' thoughts on LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura, and if that's a WrestleMania match or if they change hands and then they do something with LA Knight on WrestleMania, because LA Knight today has not yet appeared on WrestleMania.
LA
Biggest
Knight's going to
WrestleMania
be
match.
at WrestleMania walking in as the champion. He's going to walk in as a champion and walk out as a champion. Shinsuke's not going to WrestleMania.
I don't think so. I agree. I don't think Shinsuke is going to WrestleMania.
Wow. Who's LA Knight's opponent going to be then?
Well, Shinsuke's brother just died last week.
Right. No, but who's LA Knight opponent? Who's LA Knight opponent going to be at WrestleMania?
That's a good question. Let me see.
Who was in that tournament?
Wow.
Oh, Jacob Fatu.
There we go.
Oh,
that's what I was going for.
Yeah. He's losing that belt.
Definitely Fatu. That's what I want. And you're sure Fatu's not going over at WrestleMania?
I'm starting to think.
Not without help.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Not without help. Or solo screwing Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania.
That's where I think is more likely. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, Solo could screw him and then we'll see what happens there. IC Championship, Braun Breaker. Who does he face at WrestleMania?
Sheamus.
Sheamus. Yeah.
Or Chad Gable.
Who goes over in both situations?
Braun Breaker's got to lose that title.
Yep.
I think he's going to keep it.
You think he keeps it?
I think he keeps it till after WrestleMania.
Wow.
I don't think he should, but I think he will.
Yeah, I'm gonna go if it's Gable, I want Gable to win. If it's Sheamus, I mean that's the last title Sheamus needs to complete the Grand Slam. So Sheamus should definitely get over.
It's time for him to win that too, get that Grand Slam.
Yeah, exactly. And also Cena.
Wait a minute. Isn't Braun Breaker in a program with AJ Styles?
He is.
Oh yeah, he is.
I forgot about that. But AJ's already won the belt, so I don't know.
You know what? I would pull a swerve. I'd have seen. I might even have seen him walk into WrestleMania as a U.S. champion.
Ooh. It's interesting.
Cena, you said.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I might have seen him walk in as U.S. champion.
Interesting. But how would that work with Cody?
John Cena belt collector.
You don't put him in the main event. You don't put him in the main. You don't put him in the main event.
He's already in the main event.
Yeah, he is. Unless you can get him out of it. But yeah.
I think Cena going for that U.S. title is a good idea.
I think Cena should go for the IC title because, like Gunther, he also hasn't won the IC title. That's the only thing he needs to be Grand Slam champion. My god! His last run.
I think he should look for it. There's a lot they can do with this main event, man. I don't know whether we're not going to know the final match card until the week before WrestleMania, and we might not know it until the day before WrestleMania.
Exactly.
But
that's a good point.
Some things are going to change. So I think Raw and SmackDown are very important this week.
Yep, very important. Okay. Any final thoughts about wrestling? Or what we saw from Elimination Chamber or anything else moving forward?
Yeah, because of the limited match number, I don't think there's anything that we missed.
Yep.
Yeah.
We cover all topics then. Y'all, we'll be back maybe next week or maybe after. We'll be recapping the fallout of the Elimination Chamber. Cena has now turned heel for the first time in 22 years. Thank you all for tuning in and also following the 10 new subscribers who we gained over the past week. Thank you. The 3,000 new views. We appreciate that too. Obviously, generated from the shorts of the man, who is the talk of the town, John Cena, and from SmackDown a couple years ago, which I had the fortune of watching in person. Also Seth Rollins, talk of the town as well. Well, I also had the fortune of watching Rey Mysterio. Not involved in the EEC, but still involved. So we're going to keep content coming, and we're going to keep it going, and we're going to keep it moving. Follow us, subscribe, share, make sure you spread the word. 150 subscribers now. Let's keep that number going. You already know where to find Cortez. You already know the Delvin Cox Experience on YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next week. God bless.
Peace.